Welcome back to another episode of Talk That Talk. And in this episode, we're going to be reviewing the movie The Bikeriders. It's based off the book of the same name. And with me, as always, I got Mr. Alex Martinez. What's going on,
What
Alex?
what up? What up? How's everybody's summer going?
Man, Alex, I got to ask you one thing before we jump into it. Is this the year of like photojournalistic movies or what? Like, man, this is already the second movie that we're reviewing that photojournalism, I guess, is the thing.
Yeah, everyone's wants to be a reporter. I think they're hitting on something this year, and I wouldn't be surprised if an A24 film comes out sooner or later that does the same depiction of it. Maxine, right? Maxine might have a journalist in that one too.
Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. But yeah, the Bike Rider stars Tom Hardy, Austin Butler, and Jodie Comer. It's directed by Jeff Nichols. And I gotta say that, man, this movie, it wasn't what I thought it was based off the trailers,
Yep.
but in a weird way, I still really enjoyed what was like on the screen. I'm not sure if that's good or bad that it wasn't exactly what I thought it was going to be, but I mean, I for what it was, I thought it was good, but not to spoil anything, so I would just jump right into what you liked about this movie.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Like it wasn't disappointing movie, but it was a movie that like you expected one thing and it went another direction with it. It was kind of like in the same aspect of the Watchers movie. Like it was like you were expecting one thing and it went a different way, and you weren't really disappointed by it, but it was just like, wait, this is the route we're going with. But yeah, Austin Butler's character, I thought he did really good. I thought Tom Hardy's, for the most part, all the way into the final act, he was doing a really good portrayal of a stand-up guy that just became a biker guy, and further down the movie, the biker lifestyle gets more intense, and he understands that role isn't made for him. Like he isn't that guy that needs to lead this crew into the future of biker lore, and he sees that Austin Butler's character is that person, and he tries to say, "Hey, it's got to be you. You got to be the one leading this group." And for the most part, you have that conflicting side that comes up throughout the movie, and it starts at the point where that intense scene where he doesn't take off his colors. It's a classic biker scene. You can't wear those colors around here. Rival gangs and all that stuff. Then they start fighting, and then sure enough, Austin Butler's leg gets injured. I guess like
They
almost
broke it.
almost
They
cut
broke his
almost cut
ankle.
off. Yeah. So from there, then his wife starts worrying about him being in the biker gang, and then he starts worrying about just life in general. He's like, I'm not used to like someone caring about me or me caring about anything, that his whole persona is that he just doesn't care. Like he's impulsive, he just does what he wants, he has no care in the world. But yeah, even his character with that build up with the relationship, I felt the chemistry there because homie just literally just stood outside homegirls like a house like
Even
for
with
a
her
whole
boyfriend there.
day. Like yeah, and you saw the packs of cigarettes and the smokes and all that stuff. I was like, bro was just literally chilling the whole night, waiting for the homeboy to like break up with his girlfriend. And for those for those of us that are relatable, waiting on the sidelines until until the dude breaks up with his girl, and we're right there. There's a window, and I guess the window is just like staying outside the girl's house for a
That's all
whole
you got to do,
24
apparently.
hours. But yeah, dude, that scene was so hilarious to me, and it built up his character because it was like he really doesn't have anywhere he stays. I don't really think he had any like crazy like living situation. Like I think he was just on his bike all the time.
Yeah.
And then after that, he was at the girl's house. So I was like, where does this dude live? Like, is the homie just literally on his bike the whole time? Um, but like I said, we mentioned the interview aspect of it. I like the time jump. I think it was a good leeway and a good stretch when they show us the beginning of the biker gang, how it starts and all that stuff, the insight that you have from it, and you see the growth with it, and you see the growth with the interviewer as well. Like you see him change his hairstyle and all that stuff. That little time jump and them talking. Um, yeah, I don't want to ramble too much, but what do you think were the pros of this movie?
So yeah, like kind of like how I said in that intro is like so I going off of the trailers. 'Cause I forgot what movie I was watching that we were gonna review that I first seen this trailer, and in that trailer it shows like later on, like I guess in the middle of the movie when they're setting that bar on fire. So I was like, oh, this movie's gonna be
Yeah,
rugged. There's gonna be nothing but fights, or it's gonna be.
yeah,
I can't quite put my finger on exactly what I was expecting, but it wasn't this because as soon
yeah,
as the movie starts, you already feel Kathy's impact, or Jodie Comer's character of,
Yeah.
right away she's talking about how, she meets Austin Butler's character and how her life has never been the same since she met him. So for me, I personally feel that this was like her story. That like
Yeah.
this was movie is like told through her lens. I mean, obviously because it's an interview form, but at the same time, I see her as us as the audience, and she's like,
Yeah.
she starts off as she even says it's like, oh, I used to be respectable. So she started off as this one girl, outside of the biker culture, and gets fully submerged into it, right?
Yeah.
So based off all that, I feel like it was just really good acting, man. Like, admittedly, I'm a self-proclaimed, Tom Hardy fanatic with
Same.
the exception of Venom movies. Nonetheless, big Tom Hardy fan. Austin Butler again. I think me and my wife just watched Elvis not too long ago. So again,
Yep.
coming off of that, another good performance by him, and then rolling into this, another good movie. I'm not really too familiar with Jodie Comer's work. I'm not really too familiar with how she's in, but she
Yeah.
sold me right away in this movie. I liked her character, even her accent that she was doing in this movie. I was like, yo, I like for whatever
The
reason, like
Midwestern.
I like,
Yeah.
yeah, like I like your accent. Like she just pulled me in, especially because she was narrating the whole movie. She pulled me in right away. The biggest concept that I think I liked, and I'm not sure if it's something that is an overlying theme that everyone's supposed to pick up on, or if I just picked up on it because maybe I maybe making the pieces fit. But the love triangle in this movie is pretty awesome, and it's because it's not the stereotypical love triangle. It's not like between two, three people. It's between Austin Butler, Jodie's character, and then Austin Butler's love for riding bikes.
Yeah.
That's the love triangle, at least that I picked up on. It was like no matter how many times she asked him to walk away, he would always be like, "Yeah, don't ask me that. Don't ask me to do that." This dude was literally just got out of surgery because his broke his ankle. He almost lost his foot, couldn't put pressure on it, and then like 3 weeks out of surgery, he was like, "Yeah, I'm riding this bike to this big meeting. Like, there's no way I'm not gonna ride a bike." So I like that aspect of that love triangle. I thought that was really
Yeah.
cool because that was a theme that they followed throughout the whole movie. I really like how they really convey like when the interviewing, like I guess of the first when they're first introducing like the interviewer or the guy that's taking the photos of the bike group,
Yeah.
how like they're really when he's first interviewing everybody, everyone's yeah, we're kind of pretty much self-proclaimed outcasts and misfits that we don't really fit anywhere else but in this
Yeah.
group, and everyone loves to hate on us because there's so much negativity that goes along with being in a bike group. That what else are you gonna do but hate on us bikers? They really showed that through line of the camaraderie there of being in that bike gang, but also liked how you start to see Tom Hardy lose his grip on the bike game as the movie goes along. It literally started off as them being a group that raced bikes to
Yeah.
them just hanging out, being in a bike gang. And then all of a sudden, as they're adding more members, the chapters get bigger. He just loses control, and they literally almost rape Jodie's character, and she was like one of the main people's wives. And like, how do
Yeah.
you not know that when you're supposed to be a charter of this group? You're supposed to
Yeah.
know, who the big heads are and who their spouses are. So
Yeah.
that happens, and then ultimately when Tom Hardy ends up being killed, it was like this dude, obviously he had an interaction with him earlier in the movie, but it was just,
Yeah.
you can tell it was like a total he had no control at that point because he went into Tom Hardy because he was the main head, tried to get into the group, he denied him, and then went around his back, still joined their group because of another charter, and then ends up killing him and taking over. So it was like he just had no control over it. So I thought it was a good storyline through and through. Again, not really what I expected, but I think I found myself in a good movie either way. Do you have any last minute that you want to add on before we get into the cons?
Yeah. Yeah. Let me just say this. Did it remind you of like Morph Baby, Goodfellas, and like I don't want to say Sons of Anarchy, but I want to say like probably Mayans, like Mayans and Goodfellas put together. It was like a morph child, like
It's
like
really funny that you say that because like I think when I came home after I watched the movies and I told my wife, like she asked me about it, I was like, it's kind of like Goodfellas, but if you take like all the memorable moments out of Goodfellas, it
yeah,
was that. Like it had that like close knit, like where how do I want to explain, like I don't know, like you just hit the nail on the head when you said it was Goodfellas. That was
yeah,
it. But like I just feel like it's like I said, it was just missing like everything that made Goodfellas good and like the great good movie that it was, but like it kind of
yeah,
took back from it just a little bit.
yeah.
Well, yeah,
Because
I guess with the sprinkling of the Mayans because it's the bike riders.
Yeah, and then the interview part, and then like hearing the narrating of Jodie Comer's character reminded me of the wife from Goodfellas, like narrating like everything that happened. Oh, how I met this guy. We were just at a bar, and I was like, "Oh, who is this guy?" And seems like it's like the whole description. I was like, "Okay, so it's Goodfellas, but with bikes."
Little
Like, and
bike.
then
Yeah,
and
yeah. Which
then
is
then you
in
go
there.
further
Yeah,
down the movie, and it just becomes its own thing. But I'm like, I wonder if it was like Martin Scorsese like inspired like directing or something, or it's just a common directing thing. But like this is like the second time I've probably seen this type of directing style, so I was just like, hey, this might be a callback that we have to look into.
yeah. No, I feel it. Yeah. So with that, sir, what? Let's jump right into the cons. What were your cons for this movie?
My biggest cons were, you mentioned it. One of the things that happened was it was a great scene because it was intense of how you could see the loss of control that was happening in the biker thing, but the almost raping of Jodie's character, Jodie Comer's character. I was like, whoa, is this gonna happen? And in the back of my head, I was all like, yo, I feel like someone's gonna mistake her for the girl that was earlier in the red dress. That the guys just said, oh, she's handling two guys upstairs. I was like, I feel like one of the bikers are gonna hear like, oh, there's this girl in this red dress like giving guys a good time, and then they're gonna confuse it, right? And but it shows it highlights the importance of the biker gang going a separate route, and it's not in a controlled environment anymore. And also it highlights the dangers of just being a girl in the biker gang.
Yeah, I'm gonna
um
say something right on that, right? Because I don't want to lose my thought on that. My bad. But
yeah.
you can totally tell that it kind of goes with it. You can totally tell the difference in the two because, like, when she first when they introduce her, like meeting the bike gang,
Yeah.
everyone's still hitting on her in the beginning, but you don't
Yeah.
get that sense of like she's in real danger as
Yeah.
opposed to in that other scene when they're like literally have her inches away from going up the stairs into the room for Tom Hardy saves her. So you can tell like it was night and day. Like you said, I guess there was that parallel from when he had control of it to when he
Yeah.
didn't. But you can really see it in those two scenes.
Yeah. And then but that's obviously a pro, but the con I had with that scene was like your logic. How did no one know that? And this is just us being like picky about it. It's not about the cinematography of it. It's more of the plot, and that's the thing I'm gonna highlight. Like I don't have an issue with what they did in this movie. It's just more of the plot aspects that I felt like it doesn't really make sense to me. It like Tom Hardy getting killed. I honestly thought he was gonna do like an elusive thing to get Austin Butler's character back into the fold. Like he was gonna act like he's dead or act like he got hurt or do something to trick Austin Butler's character into coming back and over the biker gang. Like I thought it was gonna be like a elusive thing to trick him, or even like if he did die, like Austin Butler's character was gonna come back and avenge him. But it
Yeah,
just the ending was just, hey, we got away from that lifestyle. We still think about it, or we don't think about it, and then you hear the ending of the motorcycles going by, and you're like, oh, they're really thinking about it. And like it might just be that I don't understand biker lore, but a lot of the scenes where I was like, are they really gonna let that slide? Or is it's like you guys aren't really like, you guys are going like the tough guy route, and then, oh, we're just chilling route. And I felt like they couldn't decide which way they were going with it until they realized saw like the new chapters come into the fold, and it's like, hey, we're the good guys, we're chill, we're not crazy. But like, want to say like three scenes before that, you guys are like burning down the bar, going to beat up dudes, going to like make sure they can't walk again, like type of like biker gang. And now when your gang's getting more intense, you're like, wait, we don't do that here. We don't, we're not aggressive. And you're like, so what is it? And then
yeah,
as good as Tom Hardy did, I think the plot did fall short for him because it looked like he was going crazy and all that stuff, and it was getting more intense, and it looked like his acting was amazing. Let me get that off. But they it fell short when he was trying to recruit him, and then at the end when he dies, I'm like, that's not a way to kill him off, dude. I wanted more intensity, but as soon as he had that one-on-one talk with the wife, Jodie's character, I was like, yeah, this dude's about to die. Like his arc's over, I guess. And yeah, cons for you.
So for me, I felt like the runtime was a little bit too long. I think it was like 4 or 5 minutes under 2 hours, but still, I just felt like in some points in the movie it dragged a little bit. Like maybe you could have just trimmed out a couple of things, but I felt like the runtime was a little too long. You kind of mentioned it right now with Austin Butler. I felt like how are you just gonna run away for over a year after because he I get that he didn't agree with what Tom Hardy did, going out, and putting, shooting cockroach, making him, run away or whatever. But he could
Hmm.
have killed him. He could have done a lot more worse things to where he could have been like, I felt like if everything that they've done, I felt like Tom Hardy did the right thing by more. I feel like he more or less like faked his death so he can get away and have a life outside of being the gang when cockroach
Yeah,
turned in his colors. So I felt like he was doing the right thing. And then for Austin Butler to get mad about that and then just completely disappear, I was like, I felt like that was a. I mean, maybe it had that happen in real life because it was based off real events and everything. But
yeah,
I just felt like they could have changed that for the movie. Like, how the hell are you just gonna disappear for a whole year off one thing like that? How are you gonna leave your wife? How are you gonna leave like you were like so in love, with this bike gang and you were
yeah,
about it, like, almost lost your leg because of it, and you're just gonna up and leave because you don't agree with one thing. And I get that he was pressuring him to try to be the next in line, to take be the
yeah,
lead of it, but I just felt like that was an scapegoat type thing. Like he just disappeared for no reason.
yeah,
Um, Another thing that I want to bring up too, and is maybe I don't know if I've answered my own question with it too, but like, what was the point of the movie? I think that's why I felt like it was too long because I felt like there
yeah,
was no through arc of it. I was like,
yeah,
what was the point? And again, maybe it has to go back to that bike riding lore of enjoy the journey and not the destination type of thing. But
yeah,
I just am like, what was the point? Like I don't know that kind of like I think when I first got out of the movies, I was just like, wait, this was just a 2 hour movie kind of about nothing. Like it was just homies hanging out on their bikes and they realized that they let the wrong people into the group. I don't know, and then a couple people died because of it. So I don't know. Like I said, maybe it's just about the whole bike lore thing about enjoying the journey and not the actual destination. But I don't know. Like I didn't get that part. And then another thing that stuck out to me, like because I thought it was a really cool. I don't know if cameo is the correct word for it, but when Norman Reedus showed up, I was like, "Yo, like it's Norman Reedus. Like this is pretty dope."
yeah,
Especially because like I feel like motorcycles, I guess, and Norman Reedus kind of go hand in hand now because of The Walking Dead.
yeah,
But at the same time, it was like he was such like a throwaway character. He was like in like a couple scenes. So I feel like if you're gonna bring in
yeah,
someone like Norman Reedus, not to say that he's like the world's best actor or anything, but
yeah,
if you're gonna have him someone like so anonymous with this type of thing, use him a
yeah,
little bit. Like make him like have him come in earlier in the movie or something. Make him be like a more of a significant of a character as opposed to somebody who comes in like near like just basically the third act and like kind of in one or two scenes in the third act and then that was it. So I kind of had an issue with that. I guess I don't know if that's really a con, but it bugged me at least. I don't know. And then you brought it up as one of your pros actually, and now that you mention it, like I guess it was a cool to see the time jump and like you said the difference between the photographer from the beginning to then.
yeah,
But when the how does it take place? Like I know in the beginning it gives you like the time period it takes place in, and then it gives you the year that when it jumps to when he's doing the interview again. But when
yeah,
all the events are taking place, like is that in the span of like a week? Is that in the span of a month? Is that in the span of a couple years? Like I don't know. Like to me, I don't know if I missed it, but I feel like when does all this when does like the meat of the story take place as opposed to when she's telling it when they jump to the ending part of the
yeah.
timeline to the beginning part of the timeline. So I felt like that was very confusing, and I think that's why I don't know. Maybe it was just like a lot of things that I didn't get it. I didn't understand it. I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something.
Yeah, I think it was the late 1960s is when it's set up. Yeah, that's what I got from the gist of it, and I think it was he just finished college, so he went a couple years without because it was part of his project or anything, and then he went back just to check up on them. But at that rate, it was like he was gone for a year because it was the same timeline that Austin Butler's character was gone, and he comes back, and obviously at the end we find out that Austin Butler's over there in Florida. So I want to say he's probably a 2 years difference between what happened because he doesn't look that much older. Obviously, he just looks like he got a new haircut.
Yeah,
Um,
matured pretty much.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then let's see. I wanted to piggyback on something you said. Oh yeah, Norman Reedus' character, Funny Sonny.
Mm.
Like they brought him in, and I was like, okay, he's a rival, not a rival, but a different biker gang that's coming out of Cali, and then the Cali character or Cal, I'm all like, oh, this is gonna be interesting. It's probably gonna be like something where he's gonna have to like go against them or something. And sure enough, it was like, hey, I'm here to get this guy because he didn't turn in his colors. I was like, oh, this is gonna be an intense scene. And he's like, but I'm not gonna do it, and I'm just gonna be a chill guy and make like have like three more funny scenes in the movie. And I was like, you already had like Michael Shannon doing that as Zipco. Like, well, you didn't need another funny like cameo guy, and it was just like a waste of a character, like you said. And I felt like they should have done more with that character and like had like Johnny not trust him or have Johnny not trust more people in the group. But that's just me. Like I felt like a lot of like characters fell short in this movie. Like, but I still think it was a good movie. I just think it was like what you expect out of a movie because of the trailers always lets you down. So go in there with no expectations and then just enjoy the movie for the most part. But this one, it was just like you had such a stellar cast for the most part. I wanted you to execute at a top level. It was still a good movie, like I said, but it was just like I felt like they could have done something more. And I feel like we're gonna think about that about a lot of movies we watched this year and a lot of movies we watch in general.
So with that, sir, perfect segue. Go ahead and let's just roll it right into what you would rate this movie.
Rate this movie, and I honestly think it was just it gets carried by that Goodfellas nostalgia. Like at the end how he's like in the witness protection and he's like smiling at the camera at the end, and then Austin Butler, he's at the end, he's in Florida away from the biker gang, and he's like smiling, and then he hears motorcycles instead of like the gunshots from Goodfellas. So I think it was a good movie. I would give it like a 7.3. I definitely would rewatch it again. I probably would try to get more into the biking lore, probably watch Mayans or Sons of Anarchy again and see what it is. And I think that, let me just say that, I think Sons of Anarchy ruined this movie. Well, the movie was still good, but it ruined the aspect of this movie because the intensity of the bikers that you get from Sons of Anarchy. And then you're like, this is just a biker group. Like, it's not really like a biker gang per se. So it's just like, it's two different ologies about biker gangs.
For me, I think I went into this movie, even though I don't think it was advertised as much as like as I thought it was. Like I know I seen the one movie, the one trailer in the movie theaters, and maybe one other like trailer on YouTube, like as like a an ad. But I don't think it was really like out there
Pushed
as
out
much as
there,
I
yeah.
as yeah. So but even with it like being that little like advertisement on it, I went into it really wanting to like love this movie, but I left liking it. So I
Yeah.
don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, or maybe it is a bad thing if you're trying to love something but you just like it. But I'm kind of on the I'm on the fence. I think I'm not sure because of the runtime. I'm not sure if I really would go back and watch it just because I know there was a couple points in the movie and I was this is kind of dragging on. But I did like it nonetheless. But I'm gonna give it a 6.5, so a little bit a little bit lower than you. But
Yeah.
I think it only just because of what you said. Like I went in expecting something else and got something else out of it. Even though I still liked it, it still kind of let me down a little bit. But not too bad, all in all. But yeah, that's it for us on this one. Thank you for joining us another episode of Talk That Talk. For Alex, I'm Adriel, and we'll see you guys on the next one.
Peace.